right, we are live. Happy Sunday. I was out of the. I'm Tyler. This is my friend Mark. We
I'm Mark.
are Savvy Coaching. Yeah, that's Mark. We are Savvy Coaching, and we're here spending a Sunday evening with you to help you win at the right time. We got. I think we got some good tips and some really valuable stuff for you here. But before we dive in, I was actually wearing the shirt out at the pickleball court. The shirt right here. And whenever I do wear this shirt, people are like, What is that number? Is that your no, it's not your phone number. Is that like an IP address? So everyone was asking me, okay, what is this number? And this number is 1 penny doubled every day for 30 days. So like day one is 2 cents, and day two is 4 cents and 8 cents, and so on and so forth. And after 30 days of doubling just a penny, you see exponential growth in that hockey stick of growth on day like 28, 29, 30, and you get over $5 million. And it really just speaks and reminds you of the power of small efforts over time give you compounding effects. And really, that's what we're about at Savvy Coaching. You know, Mark's got on our Savvy Coaching shirt. To be a savvy coach, popping it, you understand these four principles of deep understanding of coaching, really of leadership. And the V in Savvy Coaching stands for victory. And victory is making those small incremental gains, the compound interest, like the penny doubling, focusing on that as opposed to just focusing on the outcome. And I think that really leads us into what we want to share on this webinar and what we are going to deep dive with our mastermind group that we call a cohort. We're going to be deep diving this month in helping our members win at the right time. This is when most leaders and programs should see this compound interest take effect. If they've been running conceptual offense, they've been running systems, they've been building into their player development all season long. That's how you win at the right time. But we're going to give you some specific ways to do that. Mark, what is a practice that you've observed or executed yourself throughout your very successful career as a coach that has allowed teams to realize that compound interest at the end of the season? Because that's really what we're talking about here. That's why I wore this shirt. Okay, I went and changed into this shirt for this webinar. Mark, what's one of the things? And this is outside of our 4 steps that we're going to give you today. This is a bonus one, just from what we've observed in our career.
Honestly, I think it's the way we've just mentally approached as the season went on. As a coach, early in my career, I felt like my teams actually wore down as the year went on, and it was less fun because you had more playing time issues, you had adversity that you hit. And I feel like if you're not prepared to handle that as a coach, or you haven't just been through that experience, it's really difficult to navigate. And you almost wish that you could hit the reset button. And honestly, for me, it was becoming a transformational coach and just investing more in my players and my program from a non-win and loss standpoint, and just like, how can I just make this the best it could possibly be as far as an experience goes for everybody. And then, man, I hate to say like it was overnight, but when I made my shift, everything became so much easier and players had more fun. They were way more invested. We became more of a player-led program, and that shift just helped us peak at the right times of the season because we had so much buy-in into what we were doing.
That's good. Okay, before we dive into 4 specific ways you can help your team win at the right time right now, welcome Isaac, PJ, Madison. Okay, we got California to South Dakota. Micah, welcome from Michigan, New Hampshire. Okay, I like it. Continue to chime in where you're dialing in from, please. Let me give you, I was talking to Mark before this. I said, I want to share a little bit of our story, and hopefully you can see some of your experience or your players' experience in this. So many players are reaching out, especially at this time of the season, like, okay, well, how do I get that college scholarship, or I want to play in college? And it's almost like panic mode, especially for upperclassmen. Like, I don't have a scholarship yet. And a lot of this has been a product of, coming out of the COVID years and kind of that backlog of college players that got more years of eligibility. The NIL has had a trickle down impact with the transfer portal playing a big part of that, as more and more college coaches are less incentivized to recruit true freshman high school players and more incentivized to recruit transfers, which means that college programs aren't committing to high school players as early as they have in the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so I would say don't panic. And I'm going to share actually a story from many, many years ago, my own story about peaking at the right time. So, as a high school player myself, my dream was to play college basketball. My dream was to play professional basketball, and I worked incredibly hard at it. I was in a small town. I was in a small market, and while I was one of the better players on my high school team and one of the better players in our area, no colleges were giving me a scholarship through my junior year or through my senior year. And the biggest thing that college coaches that were recruiting me but hadn't offered me were saying, we're like, you're just not a good enough shooter as a guard from the outside. I mean, you do so many things really well, but you're not a good 3 point shooter, and teams would really play off me. And so throughout my entire senior year, I was consistent. Before school, every single morning, 45 minutes to 1 hour, I did a shooting workout. And partway through my senior year, have you heard this story before, Mark, or no?
I haven't. No, I'm intrigued.
Good. I'm glad somebody is. Halfway through my senior year, I was shooting like 22% from the 3 point line, but I had been shooting since the summer for nearly an hour, 6 days a week, and still a bad shooter. But my dad encouraged me. He said, just continue to stay the course. Control what you can control. Compound interest. Compound interest. So we go through the second half of the season, and I still didn't improve as a 3 point shooter. Still shooting like mid to low 20%. Then we hit the district tournament, and similar to you, Mark, it happened all at once. In the district tournament, I shot 50% from the 3 point line, had multiple 30-point games. We came out of district number one ranks. We went to the state tournament, how they did in Washington at that time. The state tournament was 4 games. You had to win 4 games to win. And we went as a number one seed. In the state tournament, again, like it happened all at once. I shot over 60% from the 3 point line on high volume, got MVP of the state tournament. We won the state tournament. And thank you. And by the end of the state tournament, I had many college scholarship offers. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's winning at the right time. Like, a bad 3 point shooter my entire high school career. And then I went on to be one of the top 3 point shooters, top five in the country through college for all 4 years. And I guess I just share that with coaches right now, and maybe any players that might be watching, is there were so many moments in specifically my senior year where I remember getting up early, 5:30 a.m., driving to the gym alone, wondering why I continued to put in the work when I wasn't seeing any success, or continue to quote unquote lose the shooting game after putting in the work. And I'll tie this to coaching real quick, Mark, and then we'll give them some very tangible ways to execute this mindset. One of our SAVI coaches that's been a long time member, 3 year SAVI coaching member, has done amazing stuff, has gone to state tournament year after year after year. Thank you, Claire. Overnight success after years of effort. Yes. He's in Tennessee, and they have lost to the number one team in the state 3 times this year. And by double digits the first time, they're getting better. They're getting better. And Coach West messaged me. He's like, hey, we played this number one team in the state in district. If we can beat them, we'll go into state with the top seed. We haven't beat them yet, right? What do we do different? And I said, okay, what were the scores again? And I'm not going to quote these perfectly, but it was like 20-point loss, 10-point loss, and like a 2-point loss. What do we do different? Right. And I think Marcus heard this. I'm like, nothing. Like, you're on the right trend. Like, you're about to reach it. Like, just stay the course. But there are some ways like that you can stay the course in a more efficient manner. And I think that's what we're going to try to give you a brief glimpse of here today, and deep dive specific with each of our programs over the next month is, okay, what does stay in the course look like for you? Who exactly are you playing in playoffs? What is it that you're game planning for? What type of shots do you need to generate in a greater way? How can you tweak practice? So that's really what we're about to do over the next month. But it is staying the course. Coach Isaac, why am I doing this? I think we've all asked that question. Mark, does that spur anything for you before we dive into our first specific way to win at the right time.
I think as a coach, a lot of times if we're staying up late watching film, we are laboring over a practice plan. I think we've all asked, like, why am I doing this? And if you're anything like us, it's because there is a better way to do things, and that's what drives us. So yeah, that's what resonates with me. Like Tyler said, a lot of these small efforts are going to lead to really big changes in your program, because what we're all trying to do as coaches is just decrease the gap between what our players know and what they do. So many times as coaches, we've all been there where we're like, gosh, we practice this, we go over this, we talk about this, we watch film on this. Why are we still not doing it? That's what we're going to do over this 4 weeks, is just give you some small changes that no matter where you are as a coach, no matter where your program is at this point in the season, that it's going to impact your team, but it's also going to impact the way that you coach going forward. So excited to share these four. Tyler, you tell me when, and if you're ready to get started, we'll dive in.
Let's go ahead and get started. Here are four specific ways you can win at the right time by staying the course, but in a more efficient and focused way. Mark's going to give us our first one now. And before, actually, no, in a moment. These are the four topics we're going to deep dive with our members over the next 4 weeks. So we're going to give you kind of like one, and then 4 through 5 is going to be reserved for our members. So Mark, go ahead and give them the first one.
Yeah, week one is going to be all about winning dead balls, or just when the clock is not going, whether that is during the game or even outside of the game. So we'll talk about everything from pregame to halftime to postgame. And today we're going to talk about timeouts, because we all know that there's going to be stoppages in play. You're going to have your in between quarters or halves. You're going to have the timeouts that you call, that your opponent calls. And let's do this in the chat. Type in how intentional you think you are on a scale of 1 to 4 in your timeouts right now. And when I say intentional, like, do you have a structure for your timeouts? Whenever you call for a full 30 or the opponent calls for a full 30, does everybody in your program know what they should be doing and when? So go ahead and type that in. Think about
Mark, while they're doing that, rate me, okay? So so if this is how I do timeouts, I see something that's wrong, and so I call a timeout and tell them everything that I've seen that's wrong, and then we go out and play. Give me a rating.
I would give you a 1.
Okay.
Maybe if we're going halves, I'd give you a 1.5, because I'll give you credit for, like, okay, I actually see what's going wrong. I could diagnose the problem. And I think that's exactly what I said, like level 1, right? I think level 2 is I see the problem and I can give my team a solution.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Okay, agreed. Okay, here's another question. Should a coach finish a game with timeouts left on the table, like having not been used?
Maybe.
Okay, give me the scenario when yes and when no.
I've always subscribed to the theory, or to the system of, if you call one timeout a quarter, you got 2 for the fourth. Sometimes the opposing coach calls timeouts that you would call. Like, there's been a lot of times in the game where, like, we're going up and down. I'm like, I think we might need a timeout. Oh, great. He called it or she called it. Perfect. Like, we don't need to call ours. And then, you're banking yours late and you pull away. We're winning at the right time. Like, you mentioned a story of your playing career. Like, one team that I coached, we would be up 16, and I feel like in a blink of an eye, we'd be up like 35. I'm like, all right, well, I'm good. I don't need the timeouts. Yes, could we use those as like teaching tools, but sometimes not necessary.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are you of the, you gotta empty them, you can't bring them to the next game?
Yeah, I'm of the belief that the majority of games are not won in the last 2 minutes. The majority of games are won throughout the game. And so I would prefer to invest the use of timeouts specifically earlier in the game to put the game out of reach, or to improve a trend early when you have more clock left. And then on the flip side of that, very few teams are able to actually execute any in-game information that might be used with a timeout. And okay, I guess I'm going in. And I don't think I would much rather if we're playing conceptually throughout the whole season, I'd much rather offensively, I would allow them to play it with speed and with chaos as opposed to call a timeout and allow them to organize defensively. So I don't believe that end game timeouts are nearly as valuable as I think traditionally they are thought to be. I mean, I might just reserve one in case we're down, we're on offense, we're within one bucket, and we can't generate an advantage. And so we get under 8 and haven't generated an advantage. Maybe I call a timeout there to try to draw up some action to get one advantage catch. That'd be one. I want one timeout for that.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're similar here. I actually don't like timeouts because it stops the flow of the game. Like to me, I just want to like go, go, go. When there's a dead ball, I'm like we got to stop and reset and do all that stuff. Here's where I would recommend any coach call a timeout. The I in Savvy, identity. When your team
Yeah.
is not playing to your identity, it's an identity timeout. Like if we're not
Mhm.
racing, timeout like that, because that's
Yeah.
unacceptable. That's our first principle. If we're not playing, with our pace, or like a first principle for us is shot selection, like nines and sevens. If we're not hunting nines first and sevens second, timeout. Like that is when you need to call a timeout. So Tyler mentioned something too. He said teams don't take in information as well as we might want to believe. And I love that you said more games are won and lost like earlier in the game. There's two quotes that came to mind that college coaches, while I was a high school coach, shared with me. One really resonated with me, and it makes me think of winning at the right time. Is there are points in the game that are the game is in balance, and if you win that moment, you might win the game, and that could happen in the first quarter, the second quarter, whatever it is. It might be, we're up 12 and the other team cuts it to 7. Okay, like what kind of game is this going to be going forward? Are we going to go back and forth into like a two possession game, or are we going to get back to the double digit lead and never look back? The best teams that I coached, winning at the right time, is they won those moments, because you're not going to win every battle, you're not going to win every moment, but you got to win the important ones.
Yeah.
um yeah,
Mike
so all
asked
right.
this, coach in the chat asked, is there value in allowing your team to solve problems on their own on the court?
That's a great one. So we were actually talking about this on our podcast. If you don't listen to our podcast, you should. It's called The Hours. Every week we just spend extended hours with our members, and it's available wherever you find your podcast. But we talked about the book Sacred Hoops by Phil Jackson. And one thing he shared was, I didn't call timeouts because I wanted them to develop the ability to play through things. Now, I think the higher level you go, that works well. And I think you got to know your team. And I think it depends on how much you're practicing those moments or situations in practice. You got to prepare them for those. Also, let them fail early in the season. Use those as kind of experiments, and then let's draw on those experiences. So when we don't have timeouts, we can still play through those, or we don't have to call a timeout to change something.
Yeah, and Mark's gonna give us a couple tips here, but I would just add to that answer. Yes, let them problem solve early in the season. Late in the season, assuming you're trying to win playoffs, use the timeouts, stop the bleeding, and make sure that they stay true to your identity. If we're ever outside of our identity, immediate timeout. And there's a lot of danger to being outside of your identity as the pressure mounts at the end of the season. So yeah, I think if you're trying to win the game, use the timeout instead of letting them problem solve.
All right. Very good. So we asked rate your dead ball time, specifically timeouts. There's a lot of twos and ones credit. Ryan Rush, you are the winner of the competition. You get 1,000 Savvy dollars, which can be redeemed for nothing, maybe. I don't know.
It's
But
like whose line is it anyways, where the points don't matter and nobody actually wins,
yeah,
but everyone has a great time.
great show. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're just here to have a good time. All right. So here's what I would say. Let's get more intentional about our timeouts. All right. So whistle blows, everybody should know what to expect from where to sit or stand. Right. So 30 seconds, we got to stand. I want the 5 players in the game standing in front of me. I want everybody else behind them or behind me, depending on space. But no one stands behind somebody. I wanted to see everybody's eyes, because how many times as a coach we start talking and we're like, oh, and Ryan, go get in the game, go check in for Tyler, right? I don't want to have to find Ryan. I don't want Ryan to be at the water cooler. So that's another thing is when do we get water? Uh, Open up space for your players to go get water. The way we did it is we just always huddled as a coaching staff first. So our players knew when we came to the bench, they were going to get high fives from the coaches. We were big on touches. That's their time to get water. By the time the coaches started walking to the bench, they need to be at the bench as well. That way, no one misses anything. And then I would have a system for when your assistants talk, if they talk at all. I would highly recommend no piggybacking, no interjections. In fact, I saw something on Instagram the other day. It was hilarious. He was talking about it was a head coach, and at halftime, he does the any of you assistants got anything, and the assistant goes on for like 8 minutes. It was really good. I should have sent it to you, Tyler. But um, when we huddle as a staff and players are getting water, we're figuring out WMI, what's most important. And we want that to be a singular message that we're going to leave that time out with. So the second part, first part is just have a system, right? Like let's just the decorum of our timeout. What's the structure of it? The second part is how are we going to get our message across? Because like Tyler said, timeouts are probably overrated, and I can guarantee they're overrated if you don't have an intentional timeout. So the second part is what message are you sending to your players, and that's actually going to be a nonverbal message. They're going to pick up on your body language. If your body language is flustered, all over the place, you look stressed, you're automatically not going to have a good timeout. And I think as a coach, you can be very calculated with your demeanor. If they're not playing up to the standard and you feel like they've got more in the tank, like we're not us as far as how hard we play, then you might have to heat them up a little bit. But if that's not the case, be calm, set the tone. Hey, we're good. This is what we're doing out of here. Okay. Second thing in your message is avoid your default is like if I told you like, hey, what are you seeing on this game? I was talking to a coach the other day that we consult with, and he said his default is like, hey, we got to move the ball. So if he doesn't know what to say, it's just like, hey guys, move the ball. And played and coached under a coach that his thing was stance. Like everything could be solved by like getting in a stance, which is true. But when you hear stance 100 times over the course of a game, it's like, all right, coach, we got it. All right, here's how you stick with what's most important and how to direct their focus is end with what's most important. As a coach, how many times do we want to just go into the timeout and say, we got to get better shots or we got to rebound? I would actually save that for the end. And here's how you do that you lead with a question. And I would just ask my players as we all come to the bench, hey, what are we seeing out there? And instantly you're going to know where their focus is. And if let's say we're thinking shot selection, we're just taking a bunch of fives, which on the SAVI shot scale is a so shot. Fool's gold. We're getting some decent shots, but we're not winning taking those shots. If you ask your team that and they say, we got to get better shots, like perfect. You've hit the jackpot. This is going to be a great timeout. If they say rebounding or they're fouling us a lot or whatever it is, now we know where we have to direct their focus from to be more centered on shot selection unless they got something really good, right? So end with what's most important. Let's direct their focus. And then the last thing I will give you, whatever we do in that timeout, we're measuring outside of it. So let's say it's shot selection, a lot of so shots. I'm directing their focus to nines first, 7 seconds, and we're going to track how many nines and sevens we get before the next stoppage of play, whether it's the next timeout or the end of the quarter.
Okay, Mark, I don't want you to give away too much on the timeouts piece. In fact, I wrote down like 5 things that were additional, I think can make your timeouts more effective. But we are going to actually wait and share those things on our first cohort call, which is going to be happening this month. And here's what we're doing. We want to make you checking out Savvy Coaching a no-brainer. So 3 minutes ago, I actually just turned on our 7-day free trial. I just dropped the link into the chat. It'll be in the description as well. Mark just dropped in there as well. Okay,
We're
go there
connected.
right now. Click join. Free. You get everything for 7 days. That's going to include our deep dive live 1 week from today, as well as between now and then, every one of our courses. You can submit film for video feedback, ask us any question that you want. we decided to give away a 7-day free trial again. And here's what we're going to do. I have it up right now. And so if I can see if anyone takes us up on this free trial offer live on the call, anyone that takes us up on this free trial on the webinar, you're going to I'm going to give you a free item from our Nike gear store. Free item from our Nike gear store. So I'm keeping an eye on anyone that joins live on the call. If you want to see what, here's an example. Here's our gear store. I'll send you a coupon to get a free item from this gear store. You can get our coaching tree logo, our SAVI Coaching logo. This is our SAVI gear store. Anybody can go there as well and purchase some SAVI gear, but we'll give a free one to anyone that joins live on the call. Okay, let me segue. Right into the second way to win at the right time. This is what we're going to go do a deep dive in our second week of February in our cohort. And this is going to actually be how to change your practices in order to be more effective and more efficient with your practice time at the end of the season when you're in playoffs as well. And I'm going to share a specific thing. So when Mark was talking about timeouts, okay, here's let me give you the title. Okay, if you want to win at the right times, you change your practices to look even more like the games. So early in the season, your practices will probably look less like the games. If you want your team to fine tune their performance, then your practice should be just like a game. It should be shorter, like a game. It should be more intense, like a game. And you should actually practice things that happen in the game. Specifically, I guarantee that the majority of our coaches watching this live and recorded do not have an efficient timeout etiquette. How do we move with what sort of speed? Where do we sit? When do we get water before and after? Who talks? Where do we stand? Right? Do we allow the players to speak amongst themselves? Have you taught them how to do that? Have you practiced your timeout etiquette? Well, in practices towards the end of the season, you want to actually have timeouts where you practice your timeout etiquette. Gosh, I'm gonna give you three. One, wait, Mark, go ahead.
I got to pull up a clip here. This was pretty cool.
Do it.
Okay. So at App State, we would randomly call timeouts in practice. So I'm sharing my screen here. This is practice film, and our coach just yelled timeout. And now we are scattering like ants, where you see like the dark team, the light team, and then the penny team just
Mm-hmm.
all get to their timeouts. And we did it randomly throughout practice. And it was really, really good for us because out of these timeouts, it was something that we actually needed, right? It's a chance to give feedback to our players, but we also just rehearsed it. And it became so normal in our program to where when there was a timeout, it's like, I've done this 1,000 times. Like, let's just lock in and get to work.
Okay, my man Verdell. I hope you're saying your name right, Verdell Billingsley. I know you've been a member before. I think I'm glad
Verdell
you
is
guys.
my man. Good to see
He's
you
your
here,
guy.
brother. Well, he's probably both of our guys, but he is the man.
He's our
So,
guy.
yeah.
All right. Well, Verdell just got a free SAVI gear item. You'll be getting a DM from us in school. He took advantage of the free trial. I'm excited to see you. Yes, DM us back. We'll DM you a code to redeem for your free gear item. We'll make sure that Claire takes care of that here in the next 24 hours. And then I would love to know a screenshot of what item you picked. I'm gonna guess you're kind of like I'm gonna say you're maybe like a long sleeve dry fit or like hoodie guy. I don't know. You might know better, Mark.
I've got 2 hoodies from the store, highly recommended. I
Highly
wear them
recommend. Yeah,
almost
they
every
are.
day
I just ordered another one because my
because you lost
my
yours.
well, yes, and then I found it and it was very dirty. So, all right, good talk. Okay, let's go. Next way to change your practices. This is all under making it look like games. Okay, one, shorter and more intense. Two, actually practice your timeouts in practice. Three, practice half times. And this is just getting your body into a habit, getting your players' bodies into a habit that when they come out of whatever halftime you do, it doesn't have to be the full halftime, that they actually come out with increased energy, right? If you don't practice half times, they'll come out of halftime with whatever situational energy they naturally feel, right? We're down or we're up. Well, you don't want to leave that to chance. Instead, you want to make sure that you prepare. All right, we're going to go in. I'm going to teach you how we come out. You're going to change your mindset. We're going to have a little routine that we do. And then this routine, whether it be a breathing routine, a 30-second visualization routine, like a clap, whatever routine, we come out and the next thing that we do in practice is going to be the highest energy that we had after practice. And then that just becomes normal. So I would definitely practice those three things, shorter and more higher intensity later in the season, practice your timeouts and practice coming out of halftime. If you do that, you will give yourself an edge. Mark, anything to add to that, or do you want to take us to the next?
I do have something to add to that, but I'm going to wait to the cohort. I don't want to be that assistant coach that just piggybacks.
Fair enough. Because if you added, then I would add to your ad, and
We'd be here all night.
We'll be here all night. All right, you want to take us to number 3?
Yeah, steal possessions
Actually,
here.
before he takes number 3,
Oh,
we're not just giving away one gear item. Any other coach that does take advantage of the free trial live on the webinar will also get a gear. I'm just giving away free gear for anyone that takes us up on the free trial live. I just love live interaction. So,
who thought the season of giving would go all the way to February?
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Tell you what,
I'm anti Valentine's Day. I just want to throw that out there.
It's not highly celebrated in this household either.
I mean, as a good spouse, every day you are expressing your love. If you only do it once a year, I'd say poor execution.
Exactly. All right. Okay. One other thing you'll get if you join for 7 days for completely free, you get our classroom, you get access to our community where you got hundreds of other coaches that believe in the same thing you believe, going through the same experiences that they can share. But you also get consulting calls, and you will actually get a welcome call tomorrow with Claire Murphy, one of our SAVI coaches, that will walk you through the entire platform to show you how you get the most bang for your buck in your 7 days. But hopefully you see the value in it and you join us for 30 days or more. Our annual membership, highly recommended. We just walk you through an entire year of coaching. So this month is just winning at the right time late in the season. Next month's going to be how to handle the off season. And the next month's going to be how to develop your players in the postseason or in the off season. So come join us for an entire, do the 7 days. And
6 p.m. tomorrow, Claire's doing a welcome call for all our new members.
Yeah. So jump on that. And then I'm actually going to do something on Wednesday morning. I'm going to hop on Google Meet, join me, ask any question you want about SAVI systems or preparing for the playoffs, whatever you want. But that's going to be a bonus consulting call on Wednesday. All right. Number 3 is stealing possessions. I think as a coach, when we talk about stealing possessions, we just think like, how do we get the ball more? I think that is one part of it. Like, how do we speed the game up and increase possessions and get more of those? But also, how do we slow the game down when we need to? So as a coach, learning the ability to manipulate the clock is super valuable, especially late in the season, being a game manager, being like those in-game coaches that can manipulate time, score, and pace of the game. So here are some things that I would suggest you think about and that we're going to actually dive deeper into our cohort with our coaches that join us on Sunday nights. Is 1, have a call for when we want to milk the clock and when we want to speed the clock up. So our call was actually milk and NASCAR. Like NASCAR, let's go. And milk, it's like, hey, let's burn that clock, whether we have a shot clock or not. We're in milk mode because at some point in the game, you're playing against the clock. If you've got a double-digit lead with 2 minutes to go, you've kind of beat your opponent. Now we just want to see triple zeros on the clock. How do we get there faster? So offensively, we could milk in a couple ways. Number 1, if I called milk, that means we're shooting free throws in 9s. So that might be 8s, or it might be just getting to the free throw line in the bonus or the penalty. But we're shooting big advantage layups, which we call 9s, and free throws only, unless you are like top 2, 3 on our shooting ladder and you get to shoot 7s. And if that's the case, step into a 7, foot on gas. That's like the dagger, right? The final nail in the coffin. Other than that, we're going to milk the clock. We know what we're running. And if we wanted to speed it up, we would go NASCAR. And I highly recommend having one action that you run in NASCAR. So everybody's aligned. We're on the same page. When we're in NASCAR, we're starting with a drag screen, right? We'll share multiple options in the cohort, but that would just be one example. And then last thing, I probably got 2 more. Mayday calls. So if you're in NASCAR and you want to speed it up, but you want to change from your one action that you're running, if you call Mayday, for us, that was either the possession's not going well, the ship is sinking, let's get aligned, or let's just change course in NASCAR. Let's get our two best players in an action that we like. So we might get Tyler and I in a ghost screen. He's in a ghost for me, so we can free him up for a 3-pointer because apparently, like, he ate his Wheaties and just became a really good 3-point shooter. Um, and then last thing, if you truly believe in this, and I would only recommend this if you believe in it, play for 2-for-1s using milk in NASCAR. I'm going to use the college.
Wait, do people not believe in that?
Okay, here's the other side that I've heard of it.
Okay.
And let's do this in the chat. Yes, type a Y
Well,
if
really
you.
define it for everybody, so we make
Okay,
sure that
2-for-1 is we are under a certain amount of time. In fact, let's just go through the times now. For us, if we were 44 to 38 seconds on the game clock, we would call NASCAR. And that meant I want this action and I want a shot between 44 and 38. Because at the college level, that means next possession, we get at least 8 seconds to get our last shot. So the idea is that in this short clock, 45 seconds or less, we get 2 possessions, you get 1 possession. Here's where you wouldn't believe in that. And
yeah,
this kind of is true, I think, for teams that don't practice it enough or the coach isn't all in on it. And if you're not all in on it, you're not going to practice it. So it's kind of the catch 22. Oftentimes, the team going 2-for-1 ends with 2 bad shots because, all right, oh, we're in NASCAR. I got to get one. That's a 5. That becomes their outlet, right? So they go down, they get a wide open layup, and now it's like, okay, well, we got 7 seconds to get a shot, and we end up with 2 5s, and they get a 9. I think that's only true if you don't practice it enough, though.
yeah. And I would say that if you are going to go for 2-for-1s, do it the entire season.
Yeah,
But or start practicing it now. And I would actually prefer to get the shot up within 8 seconds on the first possession,
yeah,
and then hopefully give yourself more time on the later possession for a little bit more patient hunt of a 9 or a 7. Like an early 5 and a 2-for-1 on the first possession feels pretty good to me.
yeah. Okay. The only thing about that is like, okay, now we're doing like who has the marker last, is going to be right. But here's what we would do if we were in 45 seconds to a minute, we would actually milk to take away the 2-on-1 from our opponent.
Yeah,
So if we
that
shoot
makes
or
sense.
you see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
we could go NASCAR or milk depending on the clock. If we're, you might milk to take away their 2-for-1. But here's the other thing, and we're going to talk about like game planning and scouting and incorporating that into practice over the next month. You should be scouting that. Like, does our opponent play for 2-for-1s? Or
Mhm.
if you're at the high school level and there is no shot clock, does our opponent hold for the last shot? If they
Mhm.
don't, play fast. Like, because you can manipulate the clock to get the last shot. If they do hold for the last shot, then you might want to hold for the last shot to take that possession away. In that case, we would go milk. And then I like to get our last shot with 4 seconds, give us a chance for offensive rebound putback, but don't give them a chance to go coast to coast on you.
Could you show us the hand signal for milk, or did you guys not have access?
Simple.
I didn't know there was one.
We had all all right, here's something funny. We would get in the jungle action, right? It's like Princeton's jungle. And as coaching staffs, we would after practice, we would like, what's the jungle call? Like everybody has their own jungle call. Yeah, it could get interesting.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Well, I mean, my takeaway is have language, have vocabulary for these things so you can actually talk about it, as opposed to shoot really quickly now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Go, go,
Well,
go, go. It's
no
like, what does that
shots,
mean?
no shots, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's key. Claire said that her team was a big 2-for-1 team when she was I'm gonna say coaching in college. Micah says no shot clock, so anything under 25 they hold for the last look. And all right.
And I do agree with Micah. Get your last shot up with 4 to 5 seconds, so you have a chance for offensive rebound putback.
Yeah, yeah, good. All right, let's segue here, and let me just see if anybody else got a gear item in the last 15 seconds. Reminder, 100% free trial, 7 days. Just cancel within 7 days, and you are not charged. And if it's not in your budget right now, we'd love to serve you for 7 days. I mean, honestly, and would hope that it does become in your budget soon. And we'd love to help convince your athletic director to just invest in you annually. Many of our coaches, they invested in themselves first. There was obvious and significant improvement in their program, and they said, "Hey, AD, look what happened." A big part of that was because of our work with Savvy, and then the AD was convinced. Year two, I'm going to pay that annual bill for you. So that's happened often, and so I
And
hope that happens for you.
here's what I found, and as a coach as well. Once it's in the budget one year, it's in the budget every year. So all you got to do is get one yes.
All you gotta do is get one yes, and maybe that kid with the well-off parent needs to play a little more.
That's
Okay,
right.
that's all I'm saying. I remember when I actually attended Point Guard College with Dick DiVenzio, author of Stuff Good Players Should Know, huge influence on my life and basketball journey. I remember he did this talk at camp about life not being fair, and talking about coaching playing favorites. And I remember him just going off. He was a very colorful character, and he's like, so you think you should start, huh? You think you should make a team, do you? Well, you got to mark one spot up for the kid whose dad owns the bus so you can get there, right? And then the rich kid's dad who's going to buy the uniforms, he's going to definitely have a spot, right? And then some kid has a hot single mom, and I guarantee he's making the team. He's like, so you got to be so much better than everybody else if you aren't one of those three kids. And I was just like, I'd never heard like an authority figure talk that frankly about the reality of what makes a program run before. And yeah, it was that irreverent approach to the game that I think started me on the Savvy journey. He was the ultimate Savvy coach. Dick DiVenzio, RIP. If you have not read Stuff Good Players Should Know, or his best book, in my opinion, Smart Moves. It's not owned by any publishing company right now. You can only get it used on like, I don't know, Amazon. Or Smart Moves, really, really good. There's chapters in there about how to flirt and get a date, how to
Mm.
creatively disengage from clingers at parties, and how to make love. So there you go. Buy it for your entire team. I think they'll thank you. All right, let's go ahead and jump to Mark.
I'm gonna have
Have you
to,
read that one, Mark?
I'm gonna have to borrow that one.
Oh my God. We all need to borrow that one. We all need to borrow that one. All right. It's not what you think, and it's better than you think at the exact same time. All right. Smart moves, but Dick DiVenzio. Let's go into our fourth way to win at the right time. And it's about making late season adjustments. So, as savvy coaching, we really emphasize leaning into your identity. Don't change what you do based on every opponent. Instead, make your opponents adjust to you because your identity is so unique to you and drastically different from the rest of the league. If there is a time as a savvy coach that you would actually turn the dials more drastically, it would be at the end of the season. And it actually makes any adjustments you would choose to make more effective. If you're drastically adjusting all season long, it's going to be less effective than if you wait and really, really get a strong identity, get here, then you know exactly what you're going to change, but your opponents don't because you haven't been making these adjustments all season long. That's where I actually think it's really savvy. It's really smart to hold these adjustments back, to hold these baseline inbounds plays back, to hold these quick hitters back so that you can really know what are our strengths, what do we do well, how are they going to try to take that away, and then we make the adjustment. So here's one specific way, and we'll be going through actually what we're really excited about is we're going to help each individual coach in our program that's on our calls or sends it in advance. We're going to actually help them determine the adjustments they need to make. We'll ask you questions about your opponent. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? We'll ask, we know most of your teams because we do film breakdown for you weekly. We know most of your teams, so we know what adjustments that you need to make. For example, Bethany. Bethany's been running LockLeft this year, has had a lot of success. They are the number 2 team in the state. The number 1 team in the state is the team that they need to beat. They played them and they haven't beat them yet. And we've been gearing up all season long for the defensive adjustment that they need to make. And we haven't used it in any of the previous games for the defensive adjustment that they need to make. They've been playing this 2-2-1 full court press into 1-3-1 lock left, and we've been working on improving our man lock left, and that's the adjustment that we're going to make. But we held it back. We've been working on it in secret, and we're going to spring it. Still true to our identity, true to our principles of our lock left principles. But that team's going to be coming in ready for their 1-3-1, and they're going to get hit with some man. And so I'm really excited about those type of adjustments. And adjustments, like I said, are easiest to make if you've established a rock solid identity all season long. All right, here's that's the theory of adjustments. Now let me talk about one specific adjustment that I would encourage everyone to make at the end of the season. And then Mark, you can clean me up or add anything to it. And I'm just going to call this your primary counter. Your primary counter. So most teams have an action that's their primary action. It's for your best players and their best spots on the floor, and it gets you your biggest advantages. Advantages are what we call dominoes at SAVI. And I guarantee you, your opponent knows your primary action as well. And I guarantee you, at the end of the season, that opponent is going to be coming in with a plan to take away your primary action. And so as you go into the end of the season, I don't think it's smart to substitute your primary action. And like, okay, we're going to throw out this action that we've gotten really, really good at the reads on, that has been the best thing for us because they know it's coming. No, don't throw it away. That is not what you should do. Instead, you probably want to do this with your primary action. You want to add some false action before your primary action and rename it. Like coaches get so proud of themselves. They're like, okay, they call this one head tap, right? And so as soon as they spy out that you're going into head tap, every assistant coach on the bench is jumping up, head tap, head tap, head tap, right? Or they'll like call steal. So just, start milking the cow or whatever. Okay, change the name of it and throw some false action into it. So for example, let's say that our most effective and best primary action for our best player is a high ball screen. And that's how we're generating our best stuff. Well, I guarantee they're going to spend their entire practice throwing different coverages at this high ball screen to take away your primary stuff. So instead of just going into your high ball screen, instead run some sort of false action and call it shoulder or something different you've called it, that's going to get you into your high ball screen. That false action could be as simple as, before your screener comes up to set the high ball screen, they're actually going to receive a pin down or cross screen from the wing into a false post up, and then they sprint into the high ball screen, right? You still get the read and the action that you really like, but I mean, there's so many types of false action. That's what Mark and I really would geek out on helping coaches with. Is they're like, oh, most of our coaches run rose series, right? And so most of their opponents are probably going to be trying to take away fingers. Well, Mark is an absolute genius at how to false action or counter to fingers without actually throwing rose series out the window. So whatever that is, I would just encourage those things. That would be an in-game adjustment. We'll take you through the other four in-game and in-season adjustments when we get to that in our actual cohort. Mark, what did you tend to do at the end of the season when teams were gearing up to take away, for example, fingers cut in row series?
Yeah, honestly, a lot of what you're saying with false motion. So
Yeah.
we call this movement, and we just added this entire section to the Drive in Space course. Drive in Space course is available for all of our paid members. It's not available as its own standalone course yet. At some point, it will be. But if you want to dive into this and get all these false motions, or what I call movement, kind of like think pre-snap movement in football. Like, can we generate a stampede catch, or can we change our formation in football and run the same play out of it, like Mike Leach style? So these are all ways we did a lot of that. And honestly, so the cool thing is our counter became our primary action in years to come because teams started adjusting to fingers. So the counter for fingers really became our favorite and our go-to later. I did want to touch on this because this goes into the identity and what SAVI is, and I think what really drew me towards SAVI systems is, if you don't know, about a year ago, Tyler and I got reconnected, speaking at the same clinic. And one thing that we're really aligned on is designing your system to be the best team on your schedule. And like Tyler said, like, you don't want to get away from your identity at this point in the season. We're not trying to change your identity. We want to take whatever you're doing and put it on steroids for you. And that's what we're going to do this month. So I think the old, we got to design our system to beat the best team on our schedule is very flawed. I think you should design your system to be the best team on your schedule. And that's
Hmm.
when you know that you're a savvy coach is we are not fearing and adjusting for the boogeyman, is we are the boogeyman and everybody is doing that for us. So we make small tweaks and that gives us big returns. And that's what you should focus on late in the year. That's how you win at the right time. That's what we're going to do for the next 4 weeks.
And that was so well said that I'm not even going to say anything else about it. I can't wait. The free trial is on. For many of our coaches are going to get this email, this webinar emailed, and you're watching it recorded. Just click the link in the description, and the free trial is available to you. And what Mark was showing you about the new Drive in Space course, that along with all of our other courses and LockLeft, everything is available within that free trial. Come and check us out. We'll be doing our first live training on making these in-game adjustments in 1 week. We'll be answering questions and breaking down film for our members until then. And if you're just checking out Savvy Coaching, you checked out this webinar, thank you. I believe you got something out of it that you can use. And that's what we're about. We're on a mission to revolutionize the way the game is taught and played. And appreciate each and every one of you that is a part of it. I'll just leave it with this challenge. Don't keep the gift for yourself, right? If you've learned something from Savvy Coaching, please pass it on. If there's one nugget that you picked up, pass it on. If you feel that Savvy has been valuable to you, please pass it on. We all love to compete as coaches, but the best competitors and the most successful competitors have been the biggest sharers, in my opinion. So that's what the Savvy Coaching tree is trying to do. We're trying to grow so that we can revolutionize the way the game is taught and played, and you are a big part of that. So thank you for being a part of it and continue to share.
Stay savvy, everyone.
Stay savvy. And